Hello, and welcome to Podcast Analytics. My name is Brian Pod, and I am a data analyst and Cognos Developer. The purpose of today's video is to present this dashboard I created using IBM's Cognos Analytics version 11.1.6. The dataset I use for this dashboard is fictional airline satisfaction survey data, and the goals for this presentation are to determine which variables influence a passenger satisfaction score and how the insights gained from this analysis can assist in making better business decisions. In order to get a better understanding of this data and find potential insights, passenger demographics are key. With that being said, next to our list of fictional airline names is our pie chart showing passengers broken down by different regions. While all regions have some foot traffic, it's pretty clear that two regions stand out, particularly the Southeast, closely followed by the West. Next, we have our column and line chart, which breaks passengers down by age range and satisfaction score. The majority of passengers for this data set fall within the age range of 40 to 49 years of age, with the fewest passengers being 80 years and above. There also seems to be a negative correlation or downward trend with average satisfaction score in relation to the age of passengers. Let's dive into some more demographics to try and figure out why this is the case. Going to our Marimekko chart next, this breaks down passengers by type of travel, class, and spending habits at the airport. It's pretty clear that the majority of our passengers like to fly economy class. Of these economy class flyers, the majority of these passengers are business travelers. Business travelers also are the ones who spend the most at the airport, eating and drinking and shopping. Looking at some KPIs for these business travelers, we notice that they travel about 17 times per year on average. They're not very loyal and they travel with other airlines about 10% of the time, but they do give the highest overall average satisfaction score of all types of travelers of 3.78. Shifting gears to personal travelers, you notice that they travel a little bit more than business travelers. They're about the same loyalty percentage, but their satisfaction score goes down quite a bit. But this was actually to be expected, given our previous observation from this bar and line chart that showed the negative correlation between age and satisfaction score, given that the primary passengers for these personal travelers are between the ages of 60 and 69. Given that logic, if we increase the age, we should see this satisfaction score go down. So if we click on the 80 and above, we do see a score go down to 2.45. The 80 and above range are actually the people who travel the most, with 32 flights per year. And they are the most loyal passengers, with 6% of the time flying with other airlines. Which begs the question, if they're the most loyal passengers in this data set, why do they give the lowest satisfaction score on average of all types of passengers? Based upon the data that we have, this brings up one factor in mind: departure delays, which I've broken down in these bottom two visualizations. Departure delays are an obvious reason why someone would give a low satisfaction score. In this bottom right-hand stacked column chart, I depicted departure delay minutes by day of the week and time of day. Originally, we didn't have these columns. I had to create these categories day of the week and time of day. I thought it would be interesting to see a trend across the week and which time of days were the most popular for these departure delays. Based upon this chart, it's pretty obvious that Friday has the most delays during the afternoon, which makes sense because Fridays are typically the busiest days for business travelers. Our next chart on the left, we see average departure delay minutes by flight distance. Overall, the airlines do a fantastic job at decreasing departure delays throughout the quarter, especially when it comes to shorter distances. However, there are some poor performance issues when it comes to longer flight distances. To give a more detailed example of how departure delays affect overall score, I want to focus on one airline in particular, West Airways. Now, while West Airways is a smaller airline, meaning they don't have as many passengers, and they primarily focus in the West region, If you look at their average departure delay minutes by flight distance, they actually do a phenomenal job at keeping their departure delay minutes to a minimum, despite one hiccup here in January. But overall, they keep their departure minutes delay really, really low, which would obviously reflect this overall satisfaction score of 3.5, the highest of all airlines that I've seen in this data set. Which brings me to my conclusions. In order to increase customer retention and potential customer acquisition, there's two things I would do. Number one, I would focus on the business travelers. The business travelers are the majority of people in this data set. They spend the most money at the airport, and they seem to fly with other airlines the most. They already give a pretty decent satisfaction score, but maybe a frequent flyer program or perks for business travelers like in-flight service, hotel accommodations, etc., might increase their customer retention or increase that satisfaction score even more. In addition, to improve quality of service, I would focus on departure of delays, especially on Fridays in the afternoons and in the southeast region, which has the most departure delays. But that's to be expected because they have the most passengers, including the passengers who are 80 and above, which definitely bring that overall satisfaction score down. Thank you.